Hello, Empower Nation. Another episode of Empower Her Money podcast. I am your host, Angela Duncan. I am just thrilled for our guest today. Diana has had quite a journey and story, and excited to hear about her past and how and why she is doing what she's doing today. Welcome, Diana. How are you?
Thank you, Angela. I'm doing great. And thank you very much for having me. I am delighted to be here, truly.
Awesome. I appreciate your time. So let's go ahead and get started, because you have an incredible past story, done lots of things in your life. Go ahead and share a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, I had this dream when I was young that I wanted to be on the TV. And then, when I was still really young, I ended up doing just that. And so I have over 10,000 hours of live and unscripted television broadcast into 100 million homes under my belt. I've interviewed people like, oh gosh, Jennifer Lopez, Mary J. Blige. I've hosted live concerts with Mary J. Blige, Josh Groban. I've done so many really amazing things, but I started so young that I kind of got to a place where I was like still young, but sort of like, okay, so I've done it. And now what? And really, Angela, at the end of the day, as I look back, because I have enough sort of runway behind me, right, that I realize, I truly have served women. That has been my audience. That's who I have served in one capacity or another my entire life. And it really was at a pivotal moment where, my marriage fell apart, my dad died, and, all of the things were happening, that's when I sort of went for the trifecta, baby. Okay. Because if I'm going to go big or go home, like I'm going really big, right? So I decided to leave that industry behind and set off on my own. And it really kind of was an organic unfolding to where I am today. And this is really, people call me, a leader in the empowerment space for women, which I humbly and graciously accept. However, I do not subscribe to the traditional female empowerment, boss babe kind of definition of female empowerment. As a matter of fact, I think, part of my mission is to change the way we see empowerment, purify that word, take it back and say, like, we're talking, at least I am, about real empowerment. And so people always say, well, Diana, what's real empowerment? And I always come back with the same thing, because Angela, you're laughing because you've heard me say this. Like, I always say to people, I'm like, I don't know, honey, you tell me, right? Because empowerment is like a thumbprint. Angela, your definition of empowerment should be, by definition, different than my definition of empowerment, right? And if we're really going to be empowered as women, we have to embrace it from a 360-degree standpoint: health, mindset, relationships, all of the things, our wealth, our money, our mindset. This is what really an empowered life, the foundation of, like, what a foundation of it is, which I, again, don't know what it has to do with, like, I'm a boss babe, because, honey, I know. Okay. But, like, what else is on the menu? Like, I know I'm a boss babe, but what else is on the menu? It's such a narrowly defined thing. And I work with women all the time, and I'm like, oh my God, we are so much more than that.
Right. It's such a deeper meaning. And I like that you say it. It really is the individual person. And the way that I kind of think of empowerment is I'm taking control of me, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman. I'm going to educate myself. I'm going to keep moving forward. And it shouldn't really matter if I'm a female. We're in this space together. We can be equals, but I have to take control of it and own it myself. So I love that you say that.
And I'm going to just jump off on what you just said. I can't tell you how many men ask me, like, Diana, can't you just expand? Like, I would love for you to coach me, or I really want to attend, your events. I want to, and it's really interesting because I agree with you. And I think you're so right, because it really has become this, like, gender thing, right? Like, you versus us versus you. And I mean, listen, I don't understand this whole we hate men. Like, I like men very, very much. Okay. I'm not mad at you boys. Okay. I actually really do like you. And it has nothing to do with that. Empowerment is genderless. And it is something that I think we can all really sort of lean into. And to me, Angela, more than anything else, it's like there's two things, right? Disempowered, empowered. And it is my firm belief, and through all of my experience, that a growth mindset is the basis for empowered mindset.
Absolutely.
Fixed mindset is the basis for a disempowered mindset. And as we know, your mindset, actually, that filter, your mindset, is in fact what dictates your life. You know, I have a master's certification in neuro-linguistic programming. And so I'm very, very invested in what goes on beneath the surface, right? And so your filter and your mindset and all of these things, like a little bit of the science behind it, right? So every single thing, Angela, that we think, that we do, that we say, that we believe, that the way we behave, it's all really, it's based on patterns, right? It's all subject to patterns. And these patterns are dictated by the way in which your brain codes information and learning, right? And so whether it's your health, whether it's your wealth, whether it's whatever, you have to understand that your patterns are based on, like, there's so much that goes into it. And so if you have a growth mindset, it stands to reason, you're going to say, okay, well, I'm going to find out what those patterns are. And that is the basis of real empowerment. And you're right, in both men and women.
Yeah. So when we're talking about that, your mindset, I know that you work a lot in this field. So if someone is looking to help change their mindset, you know, because we come with a set of beliefs, a lot of times it's instilled from our early childhood or something that may have happened to us. Talk about, you know, how do you work on changing that? What can you do to empower yourself so that you can change your mindset and become the best version that you can be?
I love that question, Angela. I really do. And I'm going to like kick off my answer by, I always use myself as an example because I really don't mind like putting myself out there, right? And so when it comes to mindset and when it comes to your filter, right? When it comes to those subconscious, because that's what it is, it's your subconscious patterns, right? And it's also dictated by the way in which your brain takes in information. And you touched upon something that I think is so vital for us to both underscore and punctuate in this podcast. And that is, it is formed in your childhood, right? Mm-hmm. And so your subconscious mind, now I want you all to take this in, okay? So 90 to 95% of every single thing you say, decision you make, it all is dictated by your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind was formed from the ages of, say, around 0 to 8, right? Mm-hmm. So if 5% is actually filtered that you're aware of, but 90 to 95% isn't. So I always think to myself, like, I didn't react so well in that situation. I wonder if that was 3-year-old Diana or 5-year-old Diana who really made a mess of that. Okay, like this is reality. Or maybe I made a quote unquote, not the best decision about something, like, nope, for sure, terrible twos, Diana made that decision. It's like when you start to look at it that way, like, would you let a 2-year-old make money decisions for you? Very, very much no. Would you let a 4-year-old make love, heart-based decisions for you? I hope not, right? So when you think about it that way, it's like, that's your mindset, guys.
Right.
So how do you go about it? This is what I do with clients all the time. When I work with clients, the first thing I do is I take a look at, with a client, right? Like they come, they know what they want to work on, right? And so it's like, okay, let's look at that and let's find the pattern in it, right? And once you identify it, then what I do is I work to, and again, this is where training as a neuro-linguistic programming master practitioner comes in, because I know how to ask questions and do work that recruits the subconscious mind and uses the subconscious mind, right? And so then we find out where specifically these patterns come from and how specifically these patterns play out in life, right? And once you start having those light bulb moments, that's when it's easier. Now, this sounds very simple, Angela. My disclaimer is it's not easy. This is hard. This is like the hardest work you'll do in your life, right? So once you identify, once you know how it plays out, then we go and we actually start to replace, right? And replace it with something new. And so I always caution people when they start talking about mindset, because it's not your conscious mindset. That's not what needs to be worked on. What you need to find is an expert who understands how specifically to recruit your subconscious. And what's different with NLP is like, I help you get your subconscious on board, because how disempowering would it be, Angela, if I did the work for somebody else?
Right.
It's still like, that's disempowering. So you've got to find ways to get to, like, I always say, like, get under the hood, like start tinkering around. You may not like what you find, and that's okay, right? We all have things we don't like, right? But that's okay, because you actually, that's your filter. You've got to clean your filter, right? Health, wealth, fitness, relationships, mindset, all of it. It truly is like getting your filter like right. Like in the TV business, like in film, we used to say like rack and focus, right? You got to rack and focus your mindset, the way you see things. And again, simple, but not easy.
Right. And I'm also a true believer that what you keep in your environment is so important. You know, if you want to be a positive, happy person, you've got to keep your environment. You got to protect that. I'm a big believer in listening to podcasts and just positive, good information, growth-minded information, because I want to stay in a positive mindset. And it's very easy for me as personally to get into negativity. And so if I'm not protective of that, then I become aware that my attitude is changing. So that's important too.
It so is, Angela. And again, like I love all of the points that you bring up, because I know both of us we really lean into this idea of a growth mindset and being positive, right? And so what I always say to people is this: like, if you had a pot, right, and it's boiling, and you have rotten meat in there, right, and it's just boiling with rotten meat, and then you took fresh vegetables and you threw those vegetables into this pot of like boiling rotted meat, what do you think is going to happen to the vegetables? They're going to rot. Right. So what goes on under here becomes that, like, once you focus in on that and you start to understand it, the positivity game gets a lot easier, right? Because that subconscious programming isn't futzing with the 5% of the conscious programming that you're trying to give it, right? And so positivity gets a lot easier when we accept as adults that it's like, okay, I'm at a certain place in my life, and well, the shiz happened, right? And once you get to a certain age and stage, I'm a little bit suspect if you've had no shiz happen. Like, have you lived a life, right? But this is like part and parcel of living life, right? We get chipped away at, we get built up. You get chipped away at, you get built up, right? If you can align your empowerment, if you can really rack and focus it so well that you understand the polarity between the fact that you actually do have some quote unquote negative, right? And if you can get that polarity in place, where here's the thing, scientifically speaking, right? Can you delete can you delete negative? No, but you can replace it. However, the better you are at understanding the origins of said negativity, that's when you can bring it all into focus and getting into that positive mindset. Like, you get knocked down, And listen, girl, let's not lie. Okay. We all do. But how quickly do you get back up in a really empowered and authentically positive way? That's where your empowerment comes in. And that's where balancing and really accepting that it all is there. None of it's really good. None of it's really bad. Let's take the passion out of it for a minute and understand that both things exist. If I can balance and start to like get rid of some of that negativity, you and me and everybody else, we're going to go from moments of like, this doesn't feel good. I lost something. I failed at something. Something didn't go the way I wanted to. The faster you can be like, okay, you're going to get, yeah, exactly. You're going to get quicker to the positivity, but this is actually all under here. So bringing the conversation full circle, if and until we start to tool around a little bit in there, this becomes a lot harder.
Yeah. So awesome. So I know you have an event coming up. Tell me about it. When is it? Where is it? And how do we sign up for it?
I'm so grateful you asked. So I'm hosting a first of its kind empowerment event here in Miami at the iconic Eden Rock Hotel on South Beach. We have taken over the entire penthouse suite. Okay. It starts first thing in the morning. We have everything that you need to start to be empowered. But again, from that 360-degree standpoint, right? So this is not an event, Angela, where it's just speaker after speaker after speaker, right? That's not what it is. Like I could go there and I could share my story with you, but I'm approaching the event the exact same way I approach my coaching, which, you know, I love that my clients love me and I love that my clients love working with me, right? I do, but that's not the focus for me. What I want to know is 328 days from now, when the shiz hits the fan and something happens, that my client leveled up, has a new mindset, and most importantly, has empowered skills so that she can actually face adversity, face the things that come her way, good things, bad things, all of the things, but with a new mindset, right? So I love that you love working with me, but I want you a year from now to actually be forever changed, true transformation, the transformation that goes on under here. That's how I'm approaching the event. So what I've done is I've curated top of their field experts to come in and workshop women on their zone of genius, but putting everything through the empowerment filter. And we're doing it in the most luxurious setting, right? 5-star food, fully catered food, open bar at the end of the night on the terrace overlooking the Atlantic, because we need to toast to our empowerment at the end of the day. I know you'll be coming. I mean, we have so many growth-minded women who are going to be there, because I do believe that women are overcharged and underserved. I don't think industries have kept pace with where women are, particularly post-pandemic, right? For those of us who didn't live in Miami throughout the entire pandemic, we learned a lot about how companies are willing to treat me. And so why can't we have events for women that are elegant and luxurious and quality and elevated, and really teach women skills, teach women ways in which, like, if you come to this event, you will walk in with a complete group of strangers, but you're going to walk out with women that you connect with budding connections that you can nurture, and you're going to walk out with skills that you can implement the very same day to start to make changes in your life. And you're walking out with a swag bag that is valued at more than the price of the ticket. Okay. If you like glam, and if you like, next level luxury, then this swag bag is definitely for you. But most of all, Angela, it is an opportunity, I think, for women to come together, to connect. Like, why can't we have a space for women who come together in this industry we call personal development, but actually have an elevated experience with real experts, right? Who can teach you something, right? Yeah. So this is the first of many. So it's going to be Saturday, August 19th. You can go right now to my Instagram page, my personal at Diana Perkovic, or at Good Girl Mafia. Go to goodgirlmafia.com. It's this, like, as soon as you land on the homepage, it's right there. It's an introductory price right now. It's a small container, Angela. So we're only doing about 25 to 30, 35 women, because it's going to be an intimate deep dive. We already have people flying in from other countries. We have women flying in from LA. So tickets are limited. Thank you for asking. And if you want to go, grab your tickets.
Yes, definitely. I will be there. So I'm going to end with a fun question, Diana.
Yes.
If you could have a superpower or super talent, what would it be and why would you choose that?
Oh, superpower or a super talent. I feel like you can see my body language. I'm starting to, ooh la la. This is like, oh, I can ask for anything right now. I joke around a lot, and I always say, like, okay, guys, like, I do this thing called whatever I want full time. Okay, everybody just back off. But I mean, do I really? I mean, I do, but I would love to, if I could have a superpower, really, Angela, it would be to be able to go like this and like change things, right? My plan is in the next year to turn Good Girl Mafia into a 501c3 to benefit young women for their education, right? It's like, if I could go like this and make that a reality, like, that would be my superpower, right? And I promise I will use my superpowers for good. And then the other, except for one thing, I want to be able to go like this and for dinner to be made every day. I don't think that's too much to ask. I know, right? I don't think so. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Diana, I am so appreciative of you being in my life. You're one of my favorite people. I love your story. I love what you're doing. And I truly appreciate your time today. And I can't wait to be at your event too, Hollywood meets Miami. So I'm glad you're bringing the glam.
I know my friends in LA, they're like, Diana, is Miami ready for you? I'm like, girls, I don't know. But you know what? I was born ready. Okay, yes. Ladies, so let's go. Thank you for having me, Angela. I really appreciate your time and the thoughtful questions, and I will see you soon.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in to Empower Her Money. I'm your host, Angela Duncan. Every episode, we feature an amazing female entrepreneur making huge impacts in her field. And I am so grateful for Diana and for the audience here today. Until next episode, thanks for tuning in.